This might just be the most intense one-day adventure I've ever done. Planning your visit to the Utah 95 National Parks and have short time to see it all? Come with me because I'm doing ARCHES National Park in one day, and I'm gonna share with you the main hikes and things you must do, even not being an active hiker like me.
For me, that's playground for adults. That was my Disneyland right there.
From crawling through Fearly Canyons to standing in front of arches so magical they felt like Disney for adults. It was brutally hot, but totally worth it. And I want to share with you the perfect plan for one day.
We nailed down. The hikes of today made me think about kind of related to life.
And somewhere in between the heat and the magic, I found some life lessons too.
Trail number 2 of today to try to do arches in one day is to go see the landscape arch, which is another must here in Arches, and we still need to go and try to see the double arch.
My name is Selena and welcome to my Utah 95 National Park season. I'm gonna start with the golden tip for this episode, doing Arches National Park in one day. Instead of splitting your day morning to night, split sunset to sunset. So you can start by doing the Delicate Arch Trail. If you missed it, that was on last episode. I'm gonna leave at the end for you to catch up. After the scare of hearing a bear right beside my bed last night, I was able to sleep and woke up safe, but look how beautiful the area we spent the night was. And I guess it will be a forever mystery of what was making those noises beside my tent last night. I don't want to think about it. Traveling in a camper van or RV makes it all possible. If you follow the channel, you know I preach about this. I don't own one, I rent, and I do these travels solo. And here in Arches, I strongly recommend you get a campsite at Devil's Garden. By doing that, it works perfectly to get your rental, use the daytime to travel over here, and enjoy hiking the Delicate Arch with no rush. The next morning, it was time to enjoy a little bit the campsite and get ready for the hikes of the day. Here's the perfect itinerary for you so you don't do the zigzag I did. I left the campground and drove to the Fury Furnace Trail where I had an appointment. And then I had to drive back to complete the landscape arch and then drive forward again to be able to reach the double arch. If I would go back, take note because this is the perfect itinerary I would do for Arches National Park in one day. It's quite a drive to get to the Arches National Park, so plan there to get by sunset and do the first and most iconic hike, the Delicate Arch. Since this is a long and steep hike, combine that with getting to the campsite and getting some rest. And for sunrise next day, go check the landscape arch. And for me, the one must do of this park is to go explore the fiery furnace. And finish it up with the cherry on top of the ice cream, double arch. Now stick with me because throughout this video, I'm not only showing all the experiences through these hikes, but also I'm gonna give you the best tips to do them.
We're going to be in there for about 2.5 hours this morning. If I have my timing right, I'll head to the parking lot right at 11:30 a.m. With that in mind, I want to make sure everybody has plenty of water with them. Yes?
Yes.
I should also ask, has anybody broken their ankle in the past couple of days? No?
Not planning on it either.
Not planning on it. Okay. Any dislocated shoulders? It's going to be a full body activity in there in the fire furnace today. I don't say that to scare anybody. I just say that as a reality of the situation that we're getting into.
Now, don't let this scare you. This is serious, but this turned out to be one of my favorite experiences and a must-do for you inside Arches National Park. This brings me back to when I was a kid and I loved to get lost in the trampoline parks and climb and go through those challenges. This is what that is. And this is Fiery Furnace, everyone.
Welcome to the Sandy Wash and the official entrance of the fiery furnace, in my opinion. This is a sandy wash. This is one of those 2 durable surfaces that we will be walking on today. I call it durable because next time we are to get a rainstorm here in Arches, if it ever rains again, it's been a while, water is going to flow through this channel and wash away all of our footprints, leaving no trace. And that second durable surface, if you'll notice as we made our way down into the wash, I did our very best to keep us on a hard rock surface. And that is that other surface, obviously doesn't leave a footprint. People know about our cryptobiotic soil crust out here in the desert.
No.
No? I will tell you about it. Up on the wall, to the left-hand side over there, there's a nice example of it. That kind of black and craggly stuff on the ground, that is living. That is a living soil crust. It is made up of bacteria, algae, fungus, lichen, all sorts of different things working together to essentially hold the sand in place. It is just vitally important to our ecosystem here. It is the whole reason that we have any plants germinating out here in the desert at all.
I cannot recommend enough that you take this hike with a guided ranger tour. You need to reserve those way in advance in the National Parks website. And for this, it is critical because number 1, there is no clear path in this hike. And the ranger took us to some very unique and secret places you're about to see that basically no one else would be able to get to, and most importantly, get out of it. But also, I learned about so many things I never heard before. The cryptobiotic soil was one of them, and then the fascinating explanation about soundscapes.
As we make our way through the tour today, I kind of want sound to be talk a little bit about the soundscapes. When I was doing research for this program, I stumbled across this concept. Basically what it is talking about how different forces, both natural and unnatural, work together to create the overall soundscape experience that we have. That first one is geophonic sound. Geo for earth, phonic for sound. That is the sounds of things that are existing in this landscape that aren't necessarily alive. Things like wind and water and rock. Moving forward, we will talk about biophonic sound. Bio for life, phonic for sound. What is the life out here in the desert and what it contributes to that soundscape, or perhaps that sound or that lack thereof. And then lastly, I want to transition to talk about anthrophonic sound. Anthro for human, phonic for sound. It is our impact as we make our way through these landscapes, both on the landscape itself and the soundscape that we are.
How cool. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, of course. I'm excited. They left lots of little gaps. Think of like marbles in a glass. There's little holes throughout this rock. It's very porous. Meaning when we do get rain, if we ever get rain in this landscape, it can soak through this rock pretty well. It can percolate down into the rock itself. And it keeps working its way down. And it hits the rock layer immediately underneath that entrada sandstone. This kind of chunky stuff at our feet, and then up on the wall behind us there, that chunky, more rocky looking sandstone. When that was formed, a very long time ago, it was more of a coastal mud plain. There were lots of clay and minerals and silt, things to plug the gaps that would otherwise be existent in that sandstone. So as the water works its way down, it hits that barrier that is the Dewey Bridge member, and it pools. It can't perk any lower down. So it starts to just kind of pool and collect and dissolve those agents that would typically hold the rocks together, creating a weakness. I'm going to fracture in those rocks eventually. And if the conditions are right, that fracture can just burst all the way through the rock, creating a little hole, allowing for wind and ice and water and other erosional factors to come in, expand that hole until eventually we have an arch. So the vast majority of the over 2,000 arches that you can find in our national park are going to be found right at that confluence between this entrada sandstone wall and the Dewey Bridge member underneath. So keep an eye out for that as you make your way through the rest of the park, even the rest of the tour here today. Creating flash floods through this landscape. Right where we're standing right now is a channel for one of those flash floods. Bro, can you imagine how powerful that is?
Wow.
And how loud that is, that roar, that rushing water coming through here. Just a huge contributor to that geophonic sound if and when it were to rain. So powerful, in fact, that it can burst holes directly through the rock. A walk-through arch back there behind us is an arch, but it's also something else entirely. It is a natural bridge. Does anybody know the difference between an arch and a natural bridge? It's all based on the formation of it, is how it works. So when we do get rain through here, once upon a time, those flash floods used to cascade right over the top of where walk-through arch currently sits, creating a nice little waterfall up there. But that water is really powerful and it's bursting and punching against the side of that rock face until eventually it pokes a hole straight through. And as it continues to rain, that water is going to continue to flow through there and to grow that hole right there. Eventually, creating a beautiful bridge that we have right there. So natural bridges are formed by that flowing water. That is the key word there, that flowing water. Whereas an arch is formed much more by those wind and ice and other erosional factors contributing to that. In the park, does anybody know what it takes to be considered an arch here in the park? What are the boxes you need to check? To be considered an arch in our park, you need to be able to take a 3-foot wide sheet of paper. Without bending that sheet of paper, you need to pull it or put it through an arch and pull it out the other side. You need to be able to see light passing through it. It needs to be at least 3 feet in any direction. It can be this thick. If it is 3 feet wide, it is counted as an arch here at the park.
And just like that, we were introduced to the crawl through arch. And guess who volunteered to test its name? Had the exact shape of a body. I'm a 5'5", and that was the perfect size for me. Well, perfect size minus my girls at the top. I had to readjust a little bit to make it through. Our ranger was absolutely fantastic. Not only he was very knowledgeable and taught us all about important information to this park, but also he created experiences for us to discuss more about what we're learning.
A water bear? Okay, you're just bringing my level of anxiety, another level up.
They're not going to hurt you. They are microscopic creatures. Not quite really tiny things, but they're the most resilient creatures.
After almost having a heart attack about water bears, I learned that this tiny creatures is what grows here in the water, and it could survive the vacuum of outer space. Isn't that so cool? After learning about water bears is the most exciting part of this hike, and quite nervous a little bit. You go through the crevices of these rocks, passing through such tight slopes that we had to remove our backpacks and we could barely fit through.
Here's where you ate for dinner last night. Right here.
And here's where I realized that all those trampoline and adventure parks I did when I was a kid prepared me for this moment. This was such a cool hike to do. I cannot recommend enough that you come for this fun. It was all different levels of challenges, and we learned so much, not only about the parks, the natures, the animals, the formations, but also I learned some new skills for hiking. The fiery furnace takes about 2.5 hours to 3 hours to complete. They issue 75 self-guidance permits a day and 28 for lucky peoples like me to go with amazing rangers, explore this place, and feel safe. This is the absolute perfect experience for a solo female traveler to explore here in Arches and feel good while doing so. About 100 people per day go in this hike. Next learning of the day, have you heard of a juniper tree? This was the favorite one from our ranger, and he told us it can live from 200 to 1,000 years. And it's known for doing self-amputation, and that's how this tree survived here in the desert. Now for us to survive this hike here in the desert, we had to learn Some interesting hiking skills like ducking when you go from one rock to another, right to left. We had to crawl with our butts sideways and even lean forward to pass over some cracks on the rocks. I even got to name an arch the Hand Love Sign Arch. Then our ranger took us to his favorite secret spot. And what a perfect name, the Surprise Arch.
So I do want to first thank you all for coming out. But once we've arrived, once we get settled here at Fiery Furnace, or Surprise Arch rather, I want to give everybody one last chance to have one moment of silence to enjoy the sounds of the desert. We're going to do it for a full 60 seconds. However, I do think it is beautiful, that concept of soundscape ecology, because it includes us as humans as part of that landscape. You know, we are not something separate from this wilderness. We are not just passive observers. We are active contributors. And I think that is really important. It means we can do something about it, even on these small scales. Do something about minimizing that impact on both the landscape and the soundscape.
All this amazingness, and we're only on hike 2. We still have 2 more to go this episode, so stick with me until we get out of here. I can definitely say there's no quiet experience like this. A guided tour with a ranger, all this adventure and different scrambling in between the rocks and going through those lots. And what a great opportunity to make some new friends and new followers. Hi Carolyn and MK. Now, if you don't have in you to do this hike, still definitely come to this spot because there is a viewpoint that is to die for. What a view!
What was this hike in the Fiery Furnace? Absolutely amazing. For me, that's playground for adults. That was my Disneyland right there. I am absolute starving, so now it's time to cook with a view. Take a look at this. View and some nice roasted potatoes, bell peppers, sausage, scrambled eggs, of course make it cheesy, and some avocado. So let's enjoy and just take in the view. I can't repeat this enough in this channel. This is one of my favorite things about traveling this style in a camper van, because I just finished that tiring 2 to 3 hour hike. So I came back to the van, made some nice, better than Starbucks, iced coffee that you all watch me making. And now, breakfast. Trail number 2 of today to try to do arches in one day is to go see the landscape arch, which is another must here in Arches. And we still need to go and try to see the double arch. Let's go find this. Hopefully this is no longer than 2 hours because I'm already exhausted from that hike in the morning.
The Devil's Garden trailhead is at the far north end of the park, about 18 miles from the entrance. You hike through long sandstone fins that were formed when salt layers pushed up, cracks widened, and erosion sculpted the fins and then carved out arches.
So I gotta say, those hikes in Florida in the afternoon, in the 106 and 10 degrees, really helped me prep for this moment. Because it's freaking 3:30 in the afternoon right now. Peak of the heat today. But the dry heat, so much more tolerable than Florida heat. All right, let's see which trail we're taking. Landscape Arch.
This is the star of the show here. The Landscape Arch has a span of 306 feet, one of the longest natural rock spans in North America.
Yo, I found a deer. Right down there. Oh dear. Let's keep on going and keep our eyes open. Right open. And go making some noise. Whoop whoop! I think that's gonna be my hiking solo noise. Whoop whoop! We made it, and I'm exhausted. Oh, look how beautiful.
The Landscape Arch is so thin, just 11 feet at its center, and in 1991, a huge chunk actually fell. They say it could collapse any day, so if you ever visit Arches, make sure you come see this wonder while it still stands.
Getting ready for the climb. Man, this is really hot, y'all. But doable, still doable. Let's go. This is no joke. I found a nice rock to sit on and have a little energy snack. Banana with dark chocolate. Really good. Let me show you all this view. The hikes of today made me think about kind of related to life. Sometimes you look ahead and there's the hill and all those rocks you have to climb. And it looks tough, it looks difficult. You're like, how am I gonna go through that? And you look ahead to see what you're gonna go through. But then you look down and you focus on step by step. One step after the other, after the other. And then eventually when you raise your head again, you're there at the edge of completing that challenge. And sometimes it looks really scary, like that slide we did earlier today. But then you go and you sit down and you slide into the unknown and you hit your foot on the rock and you lean forward and then you realize, okay, I can do this. And little by little you gain confidence. You learn different tools like we learned today. The different hiking tools you can use, like the duck, step, the butt slide, the leaning forward. Just like life. You learn different tools as you go. And you start remembering and using them. And when you look ahead and the hill looks super steep, like this one, you just gain knowledge of what you're gonna go through, but then focus one step at a time.
What an inspirational place to be. I gotta say, this has been the most transformative experience I had through nature. These formations, this energy, this information and knowledge gained, this experience has all transformed me. And I gotta say, Arches is one of my favorite stops of this Mighty 5 trip. But there's still one last stop that will drop all our jaws. Most arches in the park were carved by water running along the sides of sandstone fins, but Double Arch is unique. It was formed by water eroding from below, creating two massive openings that share the same foundation. It's nature's version of a cathedral, open, grand, and peaceful. The larger opening towers 112 feet high. That's about a 10-story building. The span between the two arches stretches 144 feet, and standing beneath gives you this incredible sense of scale, like you've stepped into a natural amphitheater. Now, an interesting fact, the opening scene of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade in 1989 was filmed here, and that's why some people call it Indiana Jones Arch. Do not be intimidated by how tall it is. This was a very short hike from the van over to this amazing view. I could even find a van from back in here.
And after you put all the work on a trail, face the obstacle and climb all the way up. Make sure you take a moment to sit down and just enjoy the view. And nope, I'm not talking about real climbs. Keep that in mind. So we're just starting the 5 mighty national parks, and I am absolutely in love with Arches. I gotta say, I really think this is gonna be my favorite. And my favorite spot is just laying here at the top of the double arch and just breathing in after all the hikes and all the work with this view. I don't want to leave here. So I gotta say, this order we nailed down because I'm exhausted after the morning hike, the afternoon hike. And this is just so perfect. It's a short hike and you go up on the way there. So on the way back, when you're already exhausted, all your energy, it's just a short hike down right to the parking lot. So cannot recommend this order enough. And these 3 are definitely the main key things you cannot leave this park without seeing.
I hope you're enjoying all these tips and inspiration. And if you are, leave it a like. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking. And subscribe to the channel to see more of these beauties throughout the season, traveling through the 5 mighty national parks in Utah. And even if you come here not to hike every trail, Arches National Park is absolutely worth the drive. Every curve, every viewpoint tells its own story. From red sandstone fens to arches glowing at sunset, it's one of the most beautiful and inspiring drives I've ever done. And a reminder that sometimes the journey itself is the destination. To my Wonder Womans and adventurers out there, I really hope you enjoyed this episode and join us on Fearless Fridays, where I connect with you to review 5 travel tips from the previous episode, must-dos and don'ts, and I will answer 5 questions that you leave me in the comments either here or in our social media. I'll see you there, adventurers. And if you missed the episode with the first hike here in Arches, the Delicate Arch, I'm leaving it right here on the screen for you. I'll see you next Sunday, adventurers, for Mighty 5 Park number 2, Canyonlands.